Okay, everybody, thank you for tuning in. We got a good episode coming up. A lot to talk about. No shortage of dialogue this week. It's the 2025 draft. Loaded class. Jack and I are giving you our thoughts, as well as bringing on a couple guests to talk about the trade. I'm just going to call it the trade. Put air quotes around it because I think that's what we're going to refer to it as for the majority of this season, I'd say, with all the moving pieces that were involved and could make or break a lot of seasons. So you got the draft, you got the trade, you got some guests, and that's the pod. So enjoy it, and this is the Pipe It Up podcast, and cue the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pipe It Up podcast, the official podcast of MLW Wiffle Ball. You got Jack and I today teamed up on Zoom here, but prior to our guests joining us, and the draft has concluded. Jack, this is a loaded class in my humble opinion. What are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, that was my first take. That was going to be my first take for sure. Is I feel like there's not a pick in here that you look at and say, man, I just don't think that guy's going to contribute to their team, in the first series, like day one. I think that all of these players really, there's going to be a learning curve for some of them for sure, as there always is, but I think all of these guys have MLW talent and are going to fit in the league and also within their actual locker rooms really well.
Locker room guys, some would say.
Yes. Well, I just think I think all of the picks in their respective locker rooms, and they'd probably fit well in other locker rooms too, but I there wasn't any pick that I saw like, hey, I don't think that guy's going to be great on X team, right? It was like, okay, I see that. I could see where they were going with it. I could see why they picked that guy. And I'm excited to see, what this new draft class has in store for them this year. It's going to be exciting. This video, not going to lie, got me pretty fired up for the 2025 season here.
Yeah, it was a reality check, especially with my team playing an opening day here within a calendar week, which is nuts. And yeah, it's like, wow, we really are entering the season here. The off season's over. PB can pop up the entire draft class right now on screen, all 8 picks. No one opted out this year, which is exciting. And Jack and I are just going to break things down here sort of one by one, giving you guys our initial thoughts and first takes, as Jack said, on this class. And I'm being serious. It's a special one in terms of just, I know some of these guys, they're very good at wiffle ball, or they've been good in our tournaments. Some of them have been guys that have been around for a while who I figured would make their way into the league someday. And now it's come to fruition, and you're seeing your name on the board as player selected, and it's pretty cool. So starting at the top, Jack, with the first overall pick, the Wildcats, back-to-back first overall picks. And this year they go with Sean Hornberger from Verona, Wisconsin, a hometown teammate of Jeremy Adams from the Great Lakes Gator. Hornberger is a left-handed pitcher, a left-handed hitter, and there's just nothing to not be excited about here with this guy. I mean, he's young, he can pitch, he can hit, he does it in the clutch, he's just athletic, he's a lefty, he seems like a good guy to be around. I got nothing negative to say here for the Cats, and it really worked out for them having another number 1 pick here because Sean's a special player, Jack, and there was question marks around whether or not he'd be able to make the commitment in terms of actually playing in MLW. We knew the talent was there, or at least I did, and I'm sure everyone else who comes to the tournaments did. But the fact that he was able to, figure out logistically how he was going to make it work, and he committed to that, to the Cats, and they're lucky enough to snag him. So this is just a massive, massive pickup to what, in my opinion, even though the record didn't show it, was already one of the more loaded rosters in MLW last year.
Right, and that was actually going to be, that's a good segue, because I think based on the murmurs, based on the calls I made, I was mentioning to you guys that I was on the horn all off season.
We should talk about that.
We'll get into the trade.
Yeah,
we'll get into the trade here later, but so I think that throughout all my discussions, all my reports, it was Sean Hornberger was pretty much the unanimous like number one. It was never really a debate that anyone else in this class was going to go number one. And it is pretty unique, I think, for a team to have back-to-back number one picks especially because of what you said, where last year we looked at them on paper and said, man, this lineup is just stacked. This is a loaded roster. And then we're here a year later and they have the number one pick again. Even with parting ways with Nick Saylor, again, we'll talk about the trade here as we move down the draft board. You look at the Wildcats roster and it's just a scary looking roster. I mean, it's if you have them on the schedule this year, I don't think that's one you're like feeling really comfortable about right now. I think that Sean is going to be a guy who comes in and is productive like immediately based on everything I've seen and heard and know about him. I think I probably played against him once or twice because I've played against Jeremy in tournaments, probably in the Peoria one that we won. So
Light flex.
if it's coming out of that program, the Flamingos, I think you got a pretty good idea that he's a strong player. So definitely one to look out for. I mean, like I said, pretty much unanimous number one, but I do think he's going to be a guy that's going to be really productive for them this year.
I agree 100%. What a get. Jack, do we think this means that while we have a new era beginning, the Hornberger era, is this the end of Kyle Schultz on the mound?
I mean, if you look at last year, it was the beginning of the end. I think Kyle would probably say that too. I'd have to pull up the stats to look at how many innings he actually pitched last year.
Pull it up.
But it had to be the lowest amount of innings in his career, I would guess by far.
I think you're probably right.
And I think that's just the beginning of the end. Are we never going to see Kyle Schultz on the mound? I doubt that. Just because he has such savvy experience and he's such a veteran. But at the same time, he's probably one of the most seen guys in the league. He isn't necessarily someone who's like going to show you anything like surprising. You know what I mean? He's a really strategic pitcher, but guys have just seen him a bunch. So I think the more you can bring in like new pitchers, new arms, we've seen it with guys like RJ who come in and it's like we've never had a 6'5" or whatever pitcher on the mound before, and it took people a while to figure it out. So I don't think we'll never see Kyle, but I do think this pick tells you in his mind he's not thinking I'm going to pitch more than I did last year. You know what I mean? I'm adding to that bullpen. He's going to lean on Pat. He's going to lean on Sean, and probably go to Pearson if he has to. But those two guys I would say are going to pitch the vast majority of the innings for them this year.
Yeah, last year PB logged 23 innings pitched. Kyle and Pearson both 8. So I expect PB's total innings pitched probably to go down a little bit with a significant spike in Hornberger.
Yeah.
Hornberger might even end up exceeding Pat Ballman. We'll see how quickly he settles in. But I would suspect it depends. Let's put it this way. If the Cats are winning games, I could see Kyle Schultz pitching less than 5 innings this year easily. If they're losing games, then I could see him maybe being like a long reliever type guy in games where they're down, just to try to preserve arms. But it's a new era for the Cats for sure. I think this like completes their true like overhaul of talent over the last 2 years. So I'm excited to see how they shape up. Last year was super disappointing if you're a Wildcats fan. So a lot to be excited about right now. That being said, Jack.
Yes. With that being said, a lot of pressure. I feel like a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Because now it's fair. Like this is 2 years. This is 2 years in a row now where it's like, man, there's really no excuse for us not to make a World Series run. If you're a Wildcats fan, I'll put my Wildcats fan hat on for a second. We thought we had a really good roster last year. We probably like this roster even more. There's really no excuse to not make a run. So I do think there's a little bit of pressure with that, but I think they have a good shot. I
would agree with you wholeheartedly, Jack. It's just a good time to be around, I think, for sure. All right, let's move on. Number 2 was the Great Lakes Gators. Again, second straight year where they're picking at the number 2 spot after they traded for it last year. The Gators select Dustin Staggs, outfielder from California. Yes, Fullerton, California, which is crazy. Another younger-ish guy. I believe he's sort of in the college years, late teenage, early 20s type situation. And I think it's a good locker room type guy, like you said, in terms of I think he'll bond. Him and Sawyer already have a relationship they built through wiffle ball. And I've seen less of Dustin in person, Jack, but from what I know, he's kind of a baller. So I don't have much to say personally, but I've seen the footage, the highlights that you guys all saw in the video. And I know that this was like the guy the Gators really wanted. Again, the logistics was the bigger challenge. But again, a commitment has been made, and we'll see if Dustin can make it happen and get out to the Meadows.
I think you can tell a lot about someone's approach and stance and swing at the plate. For example, if you look at mine, you're probably going to say that guy, he probably bats 1,000 in the playoffs. But if you look at a guy like Dustin, just the highlights, he looks like he's got it, right?
Passes
whatever that
passes
is.
The eye test.
He passes the eye test. I think he's a great pick here at number 2. If there was a Hall of Fame, an MLW Hall of Fame for names, I think he would be automatically inducted on draft night.
Fair,
and then
fair.
Probably followed up by the next draft pick after him in this class. So that's what I got to say. I'm excited for the Gators. I think it's going to be really like just I think it's going to open their offense up a lot, having him in the lineup.
I also say that, and this is me speaking just way out of turn here. I don't know Dustin. I never met him. Don't know anything about him, basically, besides what I saw in the video. But I could see, knowing that him and Sawyer have a relationship and a bond, I think they're pretty like-minded. I could see, Jack, a sort of a villain arc develop for the Great Lakes Gators. I think they're going to be a team that likes to chatter, likes to talk, likes to get in your ear, likes to get in your head. So if you're into, the Noah Dabercos of the world and the Sawyer Beans of the world, the people that are going to poke people's buttons and really just make their presence known, I think the Gators are going to really bring that energy this year, which is exciting. I mean, if you're a sports fan, I think you love that, right?
Well, every great story has a villain. I mean, it's not a good story without one. So if the Gators got to play that role, I think it's been the Cobras at times, in not the same fashion, but they've just played that role. And if the Gators want to overtake that, I think they should, and I think they'll do a good job of it. Yeah.
So definitely an offense move here. Sawyer will still be the ace on the mound. You got Jeremy, probably the number 2 guy, but an offense that needed a boost, I think definitely got it here at number 2. Number 3 and 4, Jack, the Magic, little 1-2 punch action. You mentioned top tier name here. Why don't you read it off for us? Do the honors.
With the third pick, we took John Paul Gunn, which he's a wiffle ball player. I think he could probably also star in the hit new Mission Impossible or some action movie type like that for 2025. The A-list actor in that. He's just got that name. Mm-hmm. But no, all jokes aside, I think that I'm really excited about this pick. I thought that getting him here was really just great for the Magic. I think he's going to do a little bit of everything for us. I mean, my plan is to have him pitch, to have him bat. I think that, as you guys listening watched the Magic last year, outside of Grant Miller, I don't think there's a lot of pieces that are set in stone in our lineup. So with both of these picks here, I think there's a lot of opportunity for guys to earn spots, earn positions. And I think John's, he's obviously one of those guys. He's going to get an opportunity to do that. I think that him, working with RJ, guys who have somewhat similar, like arsenals, very similar body types, will be really good, just like helping each other out in that bullpen. So great kid, great conversations with him. I'm super excited. I think he's going to be a really good fit for our locker room.
It's exciting. A little JPG. I'm liking that already. You got any nicknames developed?
Yeah. JPEG.
JPEG, solid.
Yeah, Kyle called him like the picture or something, like off JPEG. I feel like just JPG is it's too, it just roll. I don't know. Like
I like JPG.
Gunman. There's so many ways you could go.
Gunner.
Here. Like there's literally, there's so many different ways you can go.
Top
so
Gun,
we'll see what sticks.
The Maverick.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of options, man. It's good to have.
I love a guy that has a lot of different nicknames you could throw at him at any point in time. It's a fun guy to have in your clubhouse.
It's nice to have a pitcher with the last name Gunn. I mean, I think that's good.
That's very fair. Very fair argument to make. Number 4 got crazy. Before we move into number 4 in the trade, Jack, I want to point out 1, 2, 3, Sean, Dustin, and JPG. Went Verona, Wisconsin, Fullerton, California, and then, pardon me, Missouri, folks, but I want to say Dardenne Prairie. How would you say that, Jack? Dardenne Prairie? Dardenne Prairie?
I can't even, hang on, let me zoom my screen. Give you a full pronounce. I would say Darden, but I don't know. That's
Dardenne Prairie, Missouri. So 3 picks, none from our home state of Michigan, which is pretty crazy for a lot of different reasons, but cool. Definitely cool. What a time. What a league this has become, huh? Truly getting coast to coast here.
We've had guys drive in from Ohio and Illinois. Missouri was far, but we've had guys that do it. Wisconsin's kind of still Midwest-ish. The California, New York, the California one is nuts. To say that we have someone playing in our league from California, I mean, I'm interested to see, if Dustin makes it to every single series. I'm hoping he does. But just that's a very big commitment.
For sure.
So, and it's just incredible that our league can do that and is sourcing talent, literally nationwide now, all the way to the West Coast. So very, very cool for MLW and for Dustin.
Agreed.
And all those guys. Agreed.
100%. All right. Number 4. This was the Mallards pick, and this is where havoc broke out in the draft. With the number 4 pick, it ended up turning into a 4-team trade between the Mallards, the D-backs, the Wildcats, and the Magic. This is pretty crazy, but stick with me here, audio listeners. And PB, pop it up on screen for the video, guys. At number 4, the Mallards had the draft pick, and instead they got Trey Flood from the D-backs and the Metro Magic 2026 selection. The D-backs, after giving up Trey Flood here, got Nick Saylor from the Cats, and they got Matt Carlington from the Mallards. The Wildcats, for giving up Nick Saylor, got the 2026 pick from the Mallards, and the Magic, for giving up their draft pick next year, got the pick right here at number 4. So absolute chaos. Audio listeners, good luck following that along. Definitely recommend checking out the graphic on Instagram to fully digest this thing. But I guess I'll speak first. I'm the one who traded the pick. This trade was truly weeks, maybe even months in the making. It had many different variations and forms. I almost took on a guy. I'm not going to spoil it, but there was other names that were thrown into this. Not Pishka, unfortunately. If it was, I would have done whatever it took to make it happen. But I saw Flood as an excellent option here. I really was thinking offense, if I'm being truly honest. With the 4th pick, Jack, I was not thinking of going pitcher here. But with the opportunity to get Flood, with really only giving up Matt and a draft pick, it was Robles and Flood on paper, it's you have two of the best arms in the league, 2 Cy Young candidates in one clubhouse. And Trey really hasn't gotten a shot to swing it yet. I think he has potential. He's had a couple home runs and at times. He hasn't really ever gotten consistent ABs. So, this brings us down to 5 guys pretty much. We have myself, Jordan Robles, Jorgensen, Flood, and Preston Colm. 5 guys. 4 guys are going to hit. I didn't have a great year last year, so it'll sort of be me and Trey battling for that final spot in the lineup. But, you never know. He's a guy I hope can contribute offensively as well. But pitching-wise, I know he's going to bring the heat, so I'm excited to have him.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was a really good trade for the Mallards. I like to be the guy, like in fantasy football, when a trade goes through, regardless of what the trade is, to just comment fleece in the group chat.
That's fair.
And then whoever flinches first and says, dude, it wasn't a fleece. You're lying, man. It's not a fleece. That's the person who feels really insecure about their trade and feels like they got fleeced.
Very true.
That's probably not an original thing, by the way. I'm sure a bunch of people do that. But that being said, I don't really think anyone got fleeced in this trade. I feel like it was and that's why it ended up being a 4-way trade, is that, everybody kind of got something that they needed. I think for the Mallards to get a little bit younger, to get a guy who's set in stone player in this league, not really give up draft capital to do so, because you guys got the pick back next year. I think it was. I think if there was one team that kind of won the trade, like over the other ones, I feel like it was the Mallards, because Matt Carlington, I feel like, is solid. He just didn't get a lot of time with you guys, so it's hard to know kind of how productive he's going to be. So really, you swapped a pick for next year, which, to be determined what that pick will be. I don't think it will be as high as 4, obviously. But I think that, giving up Matt, swapping that pick, and getting Trey Flood is a pretty good deal for the Mallards. Like, I think you should be really happy if you're a Mallards fan here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. The other big name in this trade was Nick Saylor, right? Departing the Cats.
He's the big piece in the trade. Like, I feel like the way you look at this trade is how you view Nick Saylor. Like, if you look at Nick Saylor as an all-star Nick Saylor, then you feel like the Diamondbacks just like are going to be unstoppable and they're, going to completely take over the league. If you look at Nick Saylor as, he's like a veteran, he's probably going to produce a little bit, but he'll be sort of like a middle of the pack batter, then I feel like you're really, like, I feel like you think the Mallards won this trade.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways. I mean, Jack, you also got a pick out of the deal here, just for giving up a pick next year. So it, you could say this works out for you too, because you need guys now. There's a lot of winners here. I think the Cats are the people that, like, you could look at the Wildcats and say, dang, we lost Saylor and are getting a pick next year for this. But again, Saylor and the Cats, it just wasn't working anymore. He got hurt last year too, just a lot of factors. So he just really wasn't producing for them anymore. So I kind of like the play to take a little bit of a risk and see what you can do with future capital and send Saylor to a team where, I don't know how Jimmy plans to use him, but there's a lot of chemistry there between those two guys, longtime friends. So it makes a lot of sense too from the player's chair. I think Saylor's agent's happy with this one, if that makes sense.
I mean, here's the thing. If you're a Wildcats fan, it's like, okay, how would you have valued Nick Saylor? And
with the talent you have now, too.
It's hard to value players in this league. I mean, we have 1 round of 8 draft picks. So if you're not going to trade for an actual player that's in the league, your only other bargaining chip then is draft capital, right? Or the only thing you're going to be getting in return is draft capital. You're not going to get 2 picks for Nick Saylor, I don't think, at this point. So 1 pick seems pretty fair. Like, I think as a Wildcats fan, you hate to see Nick Saylor leave your clubhouse, but at the same time, it seems like the Wildcats are kind of turning a page here. They're bringing in new faces. They're getting a little bit younger, and I think it's going to pay off for them. Yeah, and I think it'll pay off for the Diamondbacks too. Honestly, I mean, we talk about chemistry on this podcast a ton.
They're the new Cobras now.
The Diamondbacks might become the new Vibe Tribe.
Yeah, they are for sure.
I know that Nick fits in in their own way. He fits in really well with those guys. So I think that he's gonna produce for the Diamondbacks for sure. I think he'll do well there. But as far as I know, we're spending some time here, and we got our our guest coming on the podcast. So let me just comment really quick on why we were involved in this trade.
Yeah, for sure.
The way that I kind of looked at it is similar to a lot of teams here, right? You look at the Magic's roster, we're definitely not one of the younger rosters if you look at our average age in the league, right? We have Grant, who's like semi-retired, not really. You have myself, who's in mid-20s, right? RJ is kind of the only young guy on the team pre this draft. Mm-hmm. So that was one of my goals in this draft, was to get younger. And this opportunity came up with this trade to get into the 4th spot, which in my opinion, I believe in my guys. I don't think we're going to be in the 4th spot next year. So to be like, the way that I look at it is I'm going to get the 4th pick this year, get a guy that, will hopefully produce for us, obviously, but will grow in a year. And we're going to be better than the pick that we otherwise would have had next year. So I think that's, if we didn't trade, we probably would have ended up in the same kind of spot, like 4th pick ish. So I took sort of like, I discounted the future a little bit and said, I'd like to get someone in the clubhouse now, get a little bit younger now. Let's get a year under our belt playing. And we'll give up that pick in the future. Because I think adding 2 guys this year gives us a really good chance to be in that top half of the league, the top 4 teams in the league.
Yeah, I agree. That's well said. I mean, again, there's a lot of winners here. There's benefits for everyone. Of course, everyone had to give up something too. So it definitely shakes things up big time. A couple big names moving around, former All-Stars and Trey Flood and Nick Saylor. And now you have some high prospects like Brady Pearson getting onto a Magic team that's looking for a resurgence. So it's exciting stuff, Jack. And I'm excited for you. You know, last year didn't go exactly how you wanted it to, I think, for either of us. So the fact we got some new faces that are going to try to give us a spark is cool.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So,
and then we got the Cobras.
We'll get into them in just a minute. We're halfway through the draft, Jack. 4 picks in, 4 to go. Definitely, again, some big names there in the top half of that draft. Some big names, or at least a big name, in my opinion, in the bottom half as well. But we do have Trey Flood joining us now, and I think Jimmy will be joining us in just a moment. So let's take a breather. We'll come back to the last 4. Trey, welcome to the pod, and welcome to the squad. Look at that rhyme. How about that?
Hey.
Yes, sir, Tom. Glad to be here. Glad to be a Mallard. It's good times.
It is great times. Jack and I just talked about the trade a little bit, or I should say a lot of bit. But you and I were talking about the possibility of making this happen probably after the calendar turned over. What were your initial thoughts? And, I just want to hear your take on it as a player involved.
So, first off, I just want to say, playing for the D-backs was a great experience. Nothing but respect for those guys.
Only classy guys.
Everyone on that team is just phenomenal guy. Like, every single one of them, everyone in the league. I mean, it's just been a great experience. So being able to get drafted, play with a guy like Jimmy Knorp, meet so many guys on that team, make new friends like Pishka and Benny. Like, those are friendships that I'll have for the rest of my life. Like, those guys are awesome. So I'm definitely going to miss them. But, it's time to move on to new things. And truth is, like, if you look at it, I love playing for the D-backs, obviously, but we weren't winning. And that's the truth. It doesn't make a lot of D-backs fans happy. We weren't finding ways to win in the postseason. And whether or not that's part of the reason I got traded, I don't think so. There's more to it than that. But overall, just as a player, I mean, pretty excited, honestly. I think this role with the Mallards will allow me to take kind of a bigger step for myself as a player, which I've been looking to do for the past couple years. Mm-hmm. And then, being on a team with a guy like Robles, who's just one-of-a-kind player, and then teaming up with Preston, who I've played with in the past, like, those are guys that I really look forward to playing with, and getting the opportunity here is just great, and I'm really looking forward to it.
We're happy to have you, Trey.
Give the listeners a little bit more into your relationship with Preston, because I think it's more than just you've played a little bit in the past.
Oh yeah, so me and Preston are old friends. I mean, since I was probably, I want to say probably 4 or 5 maybe. We've been playing since like T-ball.
Boom.
So
Chemistry.
we've been really close. Yeah, we got a lot of chemistry. We've been good buds for a long time. Played, all the baseball all the way till high school. We went to different high schools, and then since we started going to high school, I mean, we still play wiffle ball in the Bay City League every year together. And we played on the same wiffle ball team in Bay City too. Won a championship. So a lot of chemistry there with wiffle ball, a lot of chemistry with baseball, and just he's a great guy, and we're great friends.
It's awesome. And Jack, yeah, I think I'll make my final comment now because now it seems more appropriate. But that 100%, that chemistry and that relationship factored into the decision to make this trade. I thought like it would really allow Trey to just be more comfortable and really come into his own as a player, both as a pitcher and as a hitter. Playing with your best friend or one of your best friends is a super fun thing to do, especially when you haven't had that opportunity in the past. I know you've made friends, Trey, but it's different when it's someone you've known for a long time. And so I'm just really excited to see how those two can be sort of lightning in a bottle. And the last comment I'll make too, I'm definitely not writing myself off. You never know. I know like a lot of it's sure some physical improvements, also mentally just getting back to where I was in 2022 and 23 in the batter's box. But, I look at Trey and Preston, both are still in high school currently. And it's like, I'm going to fight to keep my position in the lineup and try to contribute more this year than I did last year. But at the end of the day, like I see those two and it's like, man, this is the future of the franchise. Like these two guys, you can really, really build a winning program on long-term potentially with both of them being, in my opinion, very good pitchers and are probably going to get better. And then Preston proved himself last year to be a big-time hitter, and we'll see what Trey can do. So a lot to be excited about. And yeah, I'm optimistic. Let's put it that way.
The real question I think we're dying to know is the thing that really matters, Trey, is who, now that you've been a part of both organizations, who do you think has the better jerseys and uniforms, the Mallards or the Diamondbacks?
That's a great question, Jack. I really got to think about this one. I do really like, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of the Diamondbacks black uniforms. I'm not sure why. I just don't like them that much. It's just a personal thing. I really like the cream uniforms that we have, though. I thought those were a really good touch. Man, I do love those Mallards greens, though, so we're going to have to see how they look come opening day, but I think I can make a decision after that.
That's fair. I'm excited. You're going to look good in them.
Jack, he's going to play so good in the green that it's going to be his favorite by default, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
For sure.
All right.
Let's hope so.
Let's hope so. Joining us now, we also have Jimmy Knorp, another manager involved in this trade, longtime MLW veteran, longtime caller. Jim, thanks for joining us this evening. Appreciate it. Love the t-shirt, by the way. Shout out McKinstry. Tigers faithful knows. But Jim, you expressed interest in coming on the pod tonight. And what do you want to say to the Pipe It Up faithful about this trade and your involvement? And I know you were one of the catalysts of sort of helping bring this all together, the 4 squads. So what was it like from your office bringing this thing home?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. It was fun, but it was tough. Trading Trey, definitely not an easy thing. Like I've told him, he's kind of become like a little brother to me, so that's not easy. But on the other end, I've told MLW managers this offseason the one thing I wanted to do was add a bat, and Nick Saylor was out there, and that's definitely a bat that'll help. And on top of that, too, like, obviously it's no secret there's a lot of Livonia guys on that D-back team right now, all of us together, and that's just because, we kind of understand we're all getting older. Not all of us are going to be playing in this league much longer. So kind of always promised myself I'd try to do what I can to play with Saylor before one of us decides to hang it up and call it quits. We talk a lot about chemistry on Pipe It Up and in MLW in general. And everywhere me and Saylor have been together, we've won. We got drafted out of that winter league, which we won together. Everybody. We're probably the duo who's won the most MLW tournaments together of all time as well. Feels like every time we go out there, we're always competing and win. So I think we build off of each other well too. Like he's good at hyping people up. He's good at picking people up when he's down. And on top of that too, it takes a lot of pressure off of me. I feel like the last couple of years, hitting wise, I've tried to do too much at the plate, and that's not really my game. I would say I'm more of like a Dan Schultz. That's who I kind of want to be. Get on base guy, not be the guy who hits home runs and have the guys hit home runs after me. So Nick Saylor will definitely help us do that as well.
I mean, Dan hit a lot of homers
Chemistry's
last year.
real.
Chemistry is real.
Yeah,
too.
he did. He also got on base a lot. The chemistry is real. So, Jim, I guess I got a lot of messages. I saw a lot of comments that, you know, people thought this trade was a bit of a fleece. I guess, what would you say to those people who think that?
I would say, this is funny, I would say this trade's a fleece for the Mallards, for sure. Out of the 4 teams involved in this trade, the Mallards won this trade. I texted.
Is that what the comments are saying?
Trade.
I guess I didn't see enough of them. I saw them initially.
No, I was just.
The comments are on us, which, like, don't get me wrong, I'm happy with what we got in return, but the Mallards got Trey, who I said when this trade was going down, I said Trey's the best overall player in this trade.
Yeah, I would agree.
Said that. You guys gave up Matt, and then did you guys pick Swap?
We picked
Is that
Swap.
what
Yes.
happened?
Well,
Yes.
we lost a pick.
So you kind of gave up Matt for Trey. And as much as I love Matt, he's not Trey. So I would say the Mallards won this. I'm very happy with what we did as well. Winners and losers and all that stuff will come on later. But I think the backs both did very well, and Jack did a good job of the Magic needed immediate help, and you got that.
That was a good answer. He passed the fleece test. That was the fleece feeler that I mentioned earlier there in the podcast, Tommy. So I was mentioning guys earlier. I like to be the guy that, you know, trade goes through in the fantasy football league. You just immediately DM or immediately message, you know, fleece. That was a fleece. First guy that flinches, you know, at that definitely feels a little bit insecure about the trade, but you passed that one. Flying colors.
I didn't flinch. I was like, remember when Kobe was inbounding that ball, or Kobe was on defense and they were inbounding the ball and they put the ball in his face? I didn't move a muscle when the word fleece came through the group chat. Didn't even blink. But yeah, Jim, this is a cool trade. I actually, it was fun to try to coordinate everything. It was challenging, but this was the most moving pieces ever in an MLW trade, which is pretty cool. And then, Jim, you made a pretty nice move there at number 6 that Jack and I haven't gotten into yet, but Jake Sullivan, we'll get to him in a minute. But Jim, I did want to ask you about Matt. I'm going to really miss Matt. Honestly, you guys are probably like, you're crazy, but it was hard for me to let Matt go. I loved having Matt around in the clubhouse, and, you know, I guess I'm all talk, so I can't say much, but I actually do think he could be a good hitter in this league. Maybe I'm crazy, but Jim, do you have like a legitimate plan to start Matt, or is he more of like a first sub type guy when you need players? What's the plan for Carlington in all this picture?
Yeah, it's hard. I actually just sent out a text to my whole team last night talking about how this is going to be my hardest ever year as a manager, just because we have 8 guys on this roster now. That's a lot of guys for me to manage. Matt, I do agree he's going to be a great hitter at some point in his career. For fans who don't know at home, actually, Matt's coming off of a right bicep injury, so he just swung a wiffle ball bat for the first time in like a year about a couple days ago, and he looked good. He looked like he was swinging. We always talk about a mental block when you come off an injury like that. Like, is he going to be able to fully swing, or is it in his head that if he swings, he's going to hurt himself again? But he looked comfortable. It's going to be tough for me this year. It's going to be playing a lot of matchups. Like I already told guys, I told Jonah and Pish, like these are guys who are great hitters who are used to playing all 15 games in a 15-game season. That's not going to be the case this year. Based on pitchers who I know guys hit well, or pitch certain pitches that I know guys hit well, that'll kind of determine our lineup this season.
A lot of guys. A lot of guys to manage.
It is a lot of guys. I'm in a somewhat similar situation, you know, with a deep bench, a lot of guys to manage. So I like the way you put it. Like it is going to be a hard year management wise, but it's exciting challenge. I think it's exciting challenge. What would you say? You know, I guess give us your take on number 6, Jake Sullivan. Kind of like what was the logic behind taking him? How do you expect to use him this year? Give us the rundown.
Yeah, so I'm super excited about Jake, to be honest. As a manager in this league, I kind of pride myself as personally, I think I've done the best job drafting in MLW. I know there's been some other great draft picks, but you know, I've gotten Pishka at 6. I've gotten Trey at 6. Like those are 2 incredible guys I got at 6 who probably should have went a lot higher in their drafts, to be honest with you. Jake Sullivan, I think, is no exception. I mean, this is a great draft class, but he's a really talented and dedicated wiffle ball player. I can't expect him to step in and be Trey Flood right away, you know? He's going to get a lot of reps on the mound, but to do what Trey's done, which Trey's been the best number 2 arm in MLW for the last 2 years now, it's not going to be easy for Jake to do that, but he's got a lot of mall experience. He's played fast pitch. He does well in MLW tournaments. He's going to fit right in with our group of guys. So super excited to have Jake on the team. Another lefty. We haven't seen a lefty arm in this league either since Jonah Heath, honestly, from being like a productive lefty arm. So I think that'll help.
Southpaws in this class.
Lefties in favor. Yeah, a lot of lefties in this draft class, which was cool to see. 3 went off the board. But yeah, Jake, he's got good movement. He's got good stuff. He's going to work hard. Super excited to have him on the team this year.
Couple of southpaws.
He's gonna be good. Trey, are you excited to swing the bat a little bit this year? I know pitching you obviously are pretty successful at already, but does the opportunity on the offensive side of the ball excite you a little bit?
Oh, for sure, Tom. I'm really looking forward to it. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you. In high school baseball, I'm not the best swinger up there. I'm more of a pitcher. I made good contact, but it's usually right to someone.
Doesn't make a difference.
You know,
wiffle ball.
Yeah. So in wiffle ball, you know, field's a little shorter. Better chance that little liner that I hit to the short side might be a home run in wiffle ball. So I'm hoping that kind of works out for me. But yeah, I'm pretty excited overall. I think the lineup that we have with, you know, Jorgie and Jordan, Preston, whoever we got to mix in, whoever feels right at the correct time. I think that's just a really good lineup, and, you know, get some confidence and back in some of those guys who, you know, maybe struggled last year at the plate a little more in previous years. I think we'll be back to a really good level that we want to be, and, you know, hopefully can get to a World Series.
Yeah, I mean, our ceiling is high offensively. What's cool, I'll say this now and I'll text the commish to see if it's okay to share, but it's a bummer, but it's also cool in some ways. But for opening day, Jack, on the Mallards, we're going to be without Preston Colm. So we're going to have 4 guys at the Meadows, most likely myself, Robles, Jorgie, Trey Flood. So again, big loss in Preston's bat, but I do love that Trey is going to get a whole series of at-bats. You know, little to no pressure on his shoulders. Not like anyone's trying to gun for his spot that given day. So it's going to be fun. You know, we're going to be out there grinding. And I'm excited to compete against Jimmy and the D-backs.
Going to be a great series. Great series.
Yeah.
I'm sure Trey's going to give you all the inside scoop on the Diamondbacks,
oh,
too.
yeah, but they also got the scouting report on Trey, so it goes both ways.
That's fair.
And the amount
Jim, what would you say? Go ahead, Tom.
No, just going to say the amount of innings that my lineup has had against Knorp and Knorp's lineup has had against Robles is disgusting, but somehow we'll still end up in a 0-0 battle. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Okay, Jimmy, put your draft analyst cap on. Give us the steal of the draft. I'm sure you think Jake Sullivan at 6 is the steal of the draft, but I guess outside of that, was there a pick on here that you were really excited about, either where they got him at in the draft or just in general, like welcoming that player to the league?
Yes, so I do think Jake is an absolute steal. I'll say that. But outside of the D-backs, number 5, funny enough, Drew Davis, the manager I probably give the most slack to in this league, especially for drafts in the past. Cole, can't even pronounce the last name, Kwiatkowski, I believe it's something like that.
Kwiatkowski.
He's not only a good. People always say like college baseball might not translate to wiffle ball, which is true a lot of time. But what people aren't talking about is this kid actually has a lot of wiffle ball experience as well. He used to play with Cade and Irwin all the time in the WSEM league, and like he was one of, if not the best hitters in that league for a little bit. Like Cole can really swing the bat, and I know a lot of people probably wanted the Cobras to take a pitcher, losing Barron, which makes sense. But if their offense clicks, if Justin Esch can show up to more games this year with Cole in that lineup as well, like that's a really sneaky pick that I haven't seen a lot of fans talking about yet. I think he could be a really good player.
Yeah, I mean, they gave up 2 Baranowskis, but they got 1 Kwiatkowski. So I think that's a good deal. That sounds like a good deal, right?
A lot of big names being thrown out there.
Drew loves drafting Polish folks, huh? Are these what these last names are? I'm not really sure. I would like to admit, is Kwiatkowski, is that Polish? Sounds Polish.
It's got to be.
I feel like it's got to be. But yeah, a lot to be excited about here. Again, I mean, Jim, so of course, I'm excited. We're all excited. It's wiffle ball season, right? We're almost there. But would you agree that this class is a bit of a step above previous ones in terms of the expectations and the hype around these guys, or am I overestimating that?
No, 100%. This is definitely the deepest class in MLW history, as in like the 7 and 8 guys are going to make impacts right away. I'd say the only number 8 overall pick who's made an impact is Casey Bennett, honestly, which is kind of funny to say. But like Evan Trakhman, too, kid going to the Eagles, that's a good wiffle ball player. Like he's not just some slouch who's going to sit on their bench. He's a really good wiffle ball player. Sean Hornberger is like a guy who's been in MLW managers' minds forever. Actually, the year I drafted Pishka, I remember asking about Hornberger, like if I could draft him or Pish or what the deal was there, but Hornberger wasn't quite ready yet. Happy with Pishka either way, so did not matter. But him, Brady Pearson was like anymore. No, yeah, I don't want him anymore. You can take Pish. Okay. But Brady Pearson, another guy, like he's been in the MLW scene forever. Another guy, me and Kratch used to talk about Brady Pearson all the time. When is this kid finally going to be old enough to make his way into the league? And Jack gets him this year, so I think that's another kid who like could struggle at first just being young, but he's super good. Love JP, but Brady's going to be better than you, brother. Your little brother's going to come get you at some point. So just a lot of talent, man. 1 through 8, like all 8 of these guys will make an impact, and that's something we really haven't seen in any draft class, I don't think, where all 8 guys have panned out. I think all 8 of these guys will pan out. There'll be no bust in this draft.
No bust in this draft. We need it on the graphic.
Bold take.
We need it on the graphic.
Gotta get a quote card.
Gotta get a quote card, PB.
Gotta get a quote card.
Scrounge together some time and some resources. Need a quote card on that. Make it happen. But, well, all right, gentlemen. To send you off this evening, any final comments? I don't want to cut you off. I want to pull the mic out of your hands. I did want to give a proper Jack little round of applause here. I think since the last time we had Trey on, he was not committed to Alma College to play baseball, but he is now.
Nice.
The alma mater of Ryan Kratch, Trey Flood will be stepping in as a pitcher at Alma College. So go Scots, and congrats, Trey, for that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to this upcoming fall.
Look at it. Just a stand-up gentleman. Nothing but gentlemen in this clubhouse in the green and gold. I love it. I love it. All right. Thanks, fellas, for coming on. Appreciate it. And we'll see you out there on the diamond.
Hey, I'm locked in. Go Pistons, baby.
Yeah, go Detroit basketball.
God, we got ourselves a guy. I'm so happy to have Trey. I love that kid.
That's really good. I think it's going to work out really well for you guys. I think the Preston Trey duo.
It's the duo. I'm telling you,
going to be deadly.
It's just like when I got Robles on my side and I started to all of a sudden swing it like no man's business. I think Trey's going to do the same thing. It's just comfortable. It's the backyard feel. I know he can hit.
You know what you're going to get out of Robles, but just to have Trey and Colm to like pick each other up, like there's going to be a day where you start one of them and they just don't have it. But then then the other guy's gonna come in and be able to like maybe offset that. You know what I mean? Like just to have that as an option, and those guys like who have been friends for that long supporting each other. I feel like that's just something doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but it just totally makes a difference.
Yeah, I love it. I love it so much. But okay, we could talk about that for hours. I think we spent a lot of time on that trade. Let's move on to number 5.
Yeah.
Jimmy alluded to it. It's the Coastal Cobras taking Cole Kwiatkowski at number 5 overall from Sylvania, Ohio. A question mark for sure. Not a lot of MLW footage on this guy, but definitely some college baseball highlights. He played in the Wiffle and Southeast Michigan League with Caden Irwin many years ago. So, Drew, he did great last year. I don't know if I can doubt him anymore. I do have concerns about the Cobras pitching. I really do. I know Drew's going to try, and I'm really, really excited to watch Drew try. That sounds kind of mean, I think, but I don't wish anything bad against Drew. It's actually just genuinely fun to watch Drew compete because he takes everything so serious. Does that make sense? So I'm excited to watch Drew give it his all because it's entertaining. And if they can keep the runs off the board, I don't think they're going to have any trouble putting them on the board.
I think that I don't know how the Cobras are going to end up, but I, again, think they're going to be probably one of the most fun teams to watch this year. Again, they've been one of the most fun teams in the past. Last year, they were really fun, just great videos, all their series. I think it will be that way again because exactly what you're saying. I think they're going to put up a lot of runs. I think they're going to give up a lot of runs. So that'll make for some exciting videos, but I don't want to doubt Drew on who he's picking for, the lineup. I think if you're a Cobras fan, you probably thought you were going to get a pitcher and you didn't. But then again, if you're a Cobras fan, you probably were expecting Drew to do something that you wouldn't do. So maybe you did. But yeah, I mean, I think there's always speculation on does the baseball translate. I think if you're a really good hitter in college baseball, it typically translates because those guys just have such good timing and hand-eye coordination that they can figure wiffle ball out. He obviously has wiffle ball experience, so it's not like he's brand new. He's played. So I imagine he's going to come in and do well. My concern is just like what happened last year with Esh. And when it comes down to crunch time, if he's still in college playing baseball, is that going to conflict? Because I'm pretty sure that was a problem last year with Esh not being able to show up on certain days for the series when it gets really crazy and we're trying to fit in playoff series towards the end of the summer, kind of like leading into fall. So that would be my concern is like if both of those guys like can't make it there when like it matters most for their team, that wouldn't be great. But as long as they can work it out, I think the Cobras are going to be a really fun team to watch this year.
Yeah. Cobes are a fun team to root for. That's for sure. Number 6, 6th overall was Jake Sullivan the 4th. First of all, hate that for myself. I have been one-upped. My only good attribute these days is I had the cool last name, and now we have a 4th in this league. It's just a tough one. Tough day for the TC3 fans. Now we have the JS4 fans. From Rochester, New York, left-handed pitcher. Very, very, very good MLW like tournament pitcher. I've seen him absolutely carve up teams from the left side, and I've seen him do it in the fast pitch tournaments as well. How it'll translate into the MLW scuff ball, I don't know, because the tournaments is a little bit different, but I don't anticipate him being not good. I think it might take him some time to adjust, but he's just a true whiffler, you know. He's crafty.
Yeah.
He sort of has that factor. I can't really put my tongue on it, how to describe it perfectly, but he has that like wiffle ball it factor in terms of like he's sneaky athletic, but also like crafty, and he gets the game. He understands how to pitch. Like he understands the craft of it. So I think he's going to be really tricky for a lot of hitters who haven't seen lefties in this league in a couple of years. So Jimmy got a good one at 6. He always does. You know, I see the board kind of start to take shape, and it's always like, God, how did Jimmy get Sullivan at 6? Like, it just never makes sense to me, but there's a talented class in front of him, but it's one of those things, man.
Yeah, I would say that if I know anything about MLW drafts, this is probably going to be the steal of the draft. So that's my take. That's my analyst take on that.
Well, I think his bat is the big question. Unless I was led astray. But
I think to Jimmy's point, though, he's probably not going to ask him to do that.
No, I don't think so.
It's going to be...
But that was one of the reasons I passed on him.
Yeah, it's going to be the Diamondbacks core plus Sailor, and that's going to be their bat. You know, that's going to be their lineup, and Jake's going to probably produce for them on the mound.
Yeah. I have more, based on what I was told and had seen, I have more long-term faith in Trey's bat than I did Jake's in this league. So,
yeah,
I need some offensive production. But again, steal. And you're going to have Knorp, you're going to have Jake. Those are 2 top-tier pitchers. Like in MLW tournaments, like Wiffle and the Mitten, for example, when there's 90 teams, like those are 2 of the better guys out there. So it's pretty crazy.
Right.
Number 7, fun one, but sneaky good. Evan Porter from Northville, Michigan. Hometown hero a little bit. Pitcher, he will be the number 2 for the Preds, it appears. Also a lefty. Also so crafty. Funny, truly a kid. You know, he's I think he's 15 or 16, but just has the kid energy to him. Really nice, fun to be around, and this is a fun one. What are your thoughts, Jack?
I'm laughing because you said, you know, he's probably going to be the number 2 arm for the Predators, and we've said that every single draft pick here for the last like 3 years. So if history repeats itself, Evan won't be the number. Maybe he'll be the number 1 arm. Maybe Cratch will end up just being the number 2 arm.
The fall off.
Evan's the number 1. Yeah, I don't know. But no, I love this pick. I think Evan is going to fit in the Preds locker room so well. He was one of the guys at the beginning of the podcast when I was just talking about that. I feel like it's perfect for him. I saw a lot of comments being like, you know, talking about just how young he was and maybe questioning why they took someone that young. And it's like, I don't know. That's what this league is about a little bit, you know, sharing those like mentorship roles, having younger kids come into this league. he looks like he's got some stuff too. Like
he's got.
I think he's going to make for great videos and great content, and I'm really excited to go up against him. We'll be playing him. I think we're playing the Preds. I don't know if can I say that? Is the schedule announced yet?
It's not, but
or is it just opening day?
Pipe It Up listeners can get a little sneak peek, Jack.
The Pipe It Up listeners sneak peek. The Mallards' first matchup is the Predators, so we'll be playing them.
The Magic's first matchup, not the Mallards. The Magic.
And that was your week's baby brain segment.
Every week, get a little tidbit.
Every week, we're gonna give you one, guys.
Yeah,
but yeah, I love the pick.
So what do I need to text Kyle about? I need to text him about the Magic playing the Predators, and also need to text him about the Preston Colm absence. Those are the two little inside scoops we give this week. Evan Porter, happy for the kid. Really nice. Check out his food page. I love it. I want to be featured on it. I DM'd him that a while back, like 2 years ago. Number 8, bringing us home, Mr. Irrelevant. It's Evan Trakhman, also from Northville. Sneaky pick here for the Eagles. I even considered going for this guy at the number 4 slot. Plays with Evan in the Northville League. Apparently he can swing it a little bit. We'll see. Question marks, but you heard from Jimmy. He got the Jimmy cosign, so that has to mean something, I think, that this day and age, right?
100%. I got to be honest, I don't know much about Evan. I haven't seen him play in the tournaments live, but from everything I've heard, everything I've seen, Jimmy giving the cosign, I feel like this is a really good pick for the Eagles. I don't know much about his personality, so we'll see how he fits with the Eagles vibe, but if I know Dan, I think he'll do a fine job of managing him and getting him ready to go. So it's exciting to see the Eagles add another face with them not drafting last year. So yeah, it'll be really cool. It'll be interesting to see kind of what Dan does with him. If he's really just only an arm, if he gives them a lot of at bats, it'll be interesting to see. But I trust Dan. I think it's a good pick for the Eagles.
No, I think he might play a lot, like every game, to be honest. We lost Blade.
In the batting lineup?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of lost Blade.
Well, the only reason I say that is because Dan mentioned on this podcast before that he knows that Carson has kind of been around and has earned an opportunity to get some more reps.
That's the thing, is how serious was that statement? Can Carson produce like Landon has, or even half of what Landon has? Or is that just Dan talking before he knew who he'd be able to get in the draft? You got Dan, you got Dallas, you got Landon. Those are 3 staples. Who's hitting number 4 this year? Probably going to be either Carson or Evan, certainly.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if Evan got that nod. Just speaking freely here. That's no shade to Carson, but I think Evan might get that nod. So
time will tell. Like I said, I trust Dan. He'll definitely make sure that lineup is giving him the best chance to win. So
yeah,
exciting stuff.
We did it. There's all 8 picks, the crash course of it over the last hour. Our initial takes, and Jack, let's hear. Who do you think is the guy in this draft? Do you have a guy? Unbiasedly.
I mean, non-biased. It's tough to just be like, oh, the number 1 pick, but I feel like Sean is I feel like that's just a great pick, just landed that pick. Like Kyle mentioned in the video, it's been kind of overdue, but he just hasn't been able to make it in the draft. So whenever you hear that, giving a kid a couple extra years to develop, even if they were thinking about drafting him 2-3 years ago, the fact that he's just now getting in the league, I think says a lot. So look out for Sean.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's the guy. I think there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders, a little bit, being the number 1 overall pick. Everyone wanted him, high expectations. Curious to see how he delivers on that. But again, I've seen him execute in high pressure moments, which makes me think he'll be fine. I think Staggs, I don't know a lot about him, but I think he's coming in with a lot less pressure. A sneaky, quiet number 2 pick. No one in MLW, on the MLW circle, kind of knew this person or had any expectations for him or have any expectations for him. So I think he's going to be out there more so having fun versus thinking that the weight of the world's on his shoulders. So I don't know. Watch out for Dustin offensively as well. But great class, top to bottom. I mean that. excited for these folks to get a shot to be a part of the league and be on the channel. And a new chapter has begun, Jack. We're officially here, 2025.
Yeah, for sure.
But thank you all for tuning in. Jack, we got to make our predictions for Slate 1 prior to this weekend.
Yes.
So then next episode, we'll break down the matchup or the matchups coming up in Slate 1, and then we got to make our picks. And
we got to come up with a punishment,
we
too.
We do. So
or challenge, or whatever you want to call it.
We need badly challenge suggestions in the comments this week, and we'll review them. Jack and I can brainstorm, and we'll make a decision, sometime halfway through Slate 1. But we'll make our predictions this week.
Sweet. Exciting stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. We appreciate it, and we will see you all next week.